Unveiling deceit. The moment I discovered my wife's infidelity and exacted my revenge tales of shadowy betrayal. 7 months ago, I uncovered the painful truth that my wife was involved in an affair with a man in his middle age. In an instant, 8 years of my life slipped away, lost and discarded like so much refuse. I was 31 then, while she was 33. Her Thomas, as I shall refer to him, was approaching the age of 50. It was purely by chance that I stumbled upon the affair, a serendipitous alignment of circumstances that placed me precisely where I needed to be. After a business trip that had kept me away, I was meant to return the following day. However, as fate would have it, everything concluded sooner than expected. With a spark of spontaneity, I chose to drive home and surprise her. I thought it might be more pleasant to simply arrive without a prior call. While navigating the road, I observed that my fuel gauge was nearing empty, prompting me to take the next exit in search of gas. This exit was situated approximately 12 miles from my residence. Once I topped off the tank, I resumed my journey, yet the path to the highway unfolded at a leisurely pace. Every intersection bore either a stop sign or a traffic light, while the vehicles moved at a snail's pace. While I lingered at the four-way stop, anticipating my turn, my gaze drifted toward a side street. In that moment, I caught sight of it, my wife's car emerging and steering toward the very path I was taking. For a fleeting moment, I questioned whether my eyes were deceiving me, but no, that was unmistakably her car. My stomach tightened. What on earth is she doing here? We had conversed merely a few hours prior, and she had not alluded to being in this vicinity. Something seemed amiss. I picked up my phone and dialed her number. After 4 persistent rings, she finally answered the call. When she spoke, her voice was breathless and hurried, as if she had just completed a marathon. "Hey," she said, her voice wavering in an unexpected manner. "What are you up to?" I inquired, making an effort to maintain a steady tone. "Oh," she paused for just a fleeting moment. "I was on the verge of reaching out to you." A frown creased my brow. "Indeed, where might you be?" "I exist. I just had to run a quick errand," she said, her voice tinged with an unmistakable hint of unease. "What is the reason behind this?" I gulped down the discomfort swelling within me. I informed her that our meetings had concluded ahead of schedule. "I find myself en route to my abode." Her voice brimmed with joy at the news of my impending return, and she promptly inquired about my arrival time, suggesting that she was already waiting at the house. I informed her that I would arrive in approximately 15 minutes. During our conversation, I noticed the faint hum of traffic in the background, indicating that she was on the road. "To what destination do you find yourself drawn?" I inquired with a nonchalant air. A brief moment of silence hung in the air before she responded. "Ah, merely a trip to the store, I see." The uncertainty in her voice sent a ripple of tension through my stomach. "Which one shall it be?" She mentioned the one nearest to our house, her words tumbling out in a rush. That was untruthful. Her car came into view, just a few hundred yards ahead, gracefully merging onto the highway. She had no justification for venturing so far from home merely to visit the local store. At that instant, clarity washed over me. She was either betraying my trust or entangled in something illicit. What reason would she have to fabricate the truth? I contemplated confronting her right then and there, yet ultimately chose to go with the flow instead. If she intended to weave a web of lies, I was determined to uncover the full extent of her deceit. "Excellent," I replied with a calm demeanor. "I shall meet you there, and from that point we can venture out for dinner." A moment of silence hung in the air before she replied, her voice tinged with an eagerness that felt almost palpable. "That sounds wonderful." A sly smile crept across my face. She was taken by surprise. In the most composed tone I could achieve, I remarked, "I have just passed the rest area." The rest area loomed just behind her. In that fleeting moment, silence reigned supreme. In an instant, she pressed down on the accelerator, her car lunging ahead with fierce determination. In mere moments, she was racing at over 90 miles per hour, hurtling down the highway with an intensity that was almost primal. I exhaled slowly, my fingers tightening around the wheel. Goodness, she realizes I'm on to her. She dashed away, likely pondering, I nearly got caught. As I arrived in the store parking lot, she was already waiting, poised beside her car. She approached as I parked, smoothing her clothes, inspecting her hair and makeup in a small mirror. She attempted to appear nonchalant, yet the tightness in her shoulders betrayed her unease. Within the confines of the store, she pivoted to face me. I must excuse myself for a moment to visit the restroom. I inclined my head in agreement. Same here. Her face betrayed a fleeting twitch, yet she masked it with a practiced smile. I completed my task in mere moments and stepped outside to await her arrival. 5 minutes slipped away, then 10, then a mere 15. Yet, she remained inside, unyielding. As she finally stepped out of the restroom, a smirk crept onto my face, and I remarked, "I was just about to send in a search party to find you." She chuckled softly, dismissing my remark with a wave of her hand. "Apologies, I needed to attend to a personal matter." I nodded, feigning acceptance of her response. Yet deep within, I was acutely aware of her deception. Throughout her time inside, the sound of the sink running echoed in my ears. She was not utilizing the restroom. She was tidying herself, likely freshening up after spending time away she had just been with. After completing our shopping, we opted to pick up some prepared food from the store rather than dining out for dinner. I maintained a serene facade, yet my thoughts whirled chaotically, revisiting each dubious detail time and again. As we settled in at home and prepared to enjoy our meal, I nonchalantly inquired, "So, how was your day?" She acted without a moment's pause. "Nothing remarkable," she remarked, taking a bite of her food. "I went to work and then returned home without delay." Directly home, indeed. My fingers clenched around the fork. Each fresh deceit that slipped from her lips ignited a fire within me, yet I willed myself to remain calm. Confronting her without irrefutable evidence would only lead to her gaslighting me, distorting the truth, and leaving me questioning my own sanity. That evening, I found myself in bed, gazing up at the ceiling, my thoughts swirling in a chaotic dance. Rest eluded me. In the meantime, she lay in a deep slumber, her breath steady and untroubled, as if the weight of the world had slipped away from her shoulders. I was astounded by the effortless way she accomplished that. One might assume she would be a bundle of nerves, fretting over the possibility of being discovered, yet that was far from the case. She exuded a calm confidence, while I found myself restless, grappling with the chaos of my thoughts. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the aroma of dinner wafted through the air, I found myself drawn to her phone, curiosity piquing my interest. Silence reigns. There are no texts that raise suspicion, nor any calls that seem out of the ordinary. I ventured online to scrutinize her cell phone and credit card statements. Once more, nothing seems amiss. In a fleeting instant, a surge of relief washed over me. Perhaps I had erred. Perhaps I had allowed my imagination to soar beyond the confines of reality. Yet, the persistent sensation resurfaced. Merely because I failed to uncover any evidence does not imply that she was not being unfaithful. It simply indicated that she excelled at concealing it. At that moment, restlessness began to creep in. Further evidence was required. I was determined to obtain it. I resolved to pursue my investigation further. In retrospect, I realize I made the right choice. Yet, in that moment, it was excruciating, maintaining a facade of normalcy while everything felt so deeply amiss. About a week passed, and life continued on as it always had. I fulfilled my role, offering smiles when required, embodying the same devoted husband I had always been. Yet within I was a tumultuous storm, observing, anticipating, aware that an event was destined to unfold once more. One afternoon, as I was immersed in my work, she called me. "Hey, darling," she said, her tone airy and relaxed. "I wanted to inform you that I will be working a bit later this evening. As we approach the end of the month, we find ourselves in a bit of a backlog." I reclined in my chair, my fingers tightening their hold on my phone. "Oh, really? What time do you suppose it might be?" "Perhaps an hour or two, though I'm not entirely certain. I'll send you a message when I'm on my way home." I compelled myself to maintain an air of normalcy. "Very well, that seems agreeable. Take care not to overexert yourself. After exchanging our farewells, I ended the call and found myself gazing at my phone, lost in thought for what felt like an eternity. There was an unsettling quality to her tone that lingered in the air. Indeed, there were times when she had to stay late, yet this instance struck me differently. My instincts were shouting at me, this did not succeed. This was truly extraordinary. I reminisced about the moment I had encountered her just the week before. On that street, I had no reason to encounter her. That was her destination. I had a feeling it would come to this. That afternoon, I departed from work slightly ahead of schedule. I made my way there, reaching the destination at approximately 4:30, and took a few leisurely drives along the street. Silence reigns. I failed to spot her vehicle. In an effort to remain inconspicuous, I maneuvered my vehicle into the parking lot of the McDonald's situated by the main intersection, all the while maintaining a vigilant watch over the road ahead. As the clock approached 4:45, she appeared, her car gliding to the stoplight before executing that well-known turn onto the street. I found myself seated, my hands clutching the steering wheel with such intensity that my knuckles blanched to a ghostly white. I allowed 10 minutes to pass, sufficient time for her to settle in. As I navigated the street, I spotted it, her car, perfectly positioned in the driveway of a nearby house, adjacent to a gleaming new Ram pickup truck. I gazed at the house, my heart racing in my chest. My hands tightened into fists, and for a fleeting moment, all I desired was to exit my car, stride up to that front door, and pound on it until someone responded. To witness the expression that graced her features, to behold the visage of the man with whom she was betraying me. However, I chose not to. A profound instinct within urged me to halt. Instead, I grasped my phone, captured several images of her car resting in that driveway, and then departed. I drove home, my thoughts swirling, aware that my doubts had transformed into undeniable truths. I possessed my evidence. Upon arriving home, I promptly searched for the address where I had just spotted her car parked. I found myself compelled to uncover the true identity of this individual. A swift inquiry revealed the homeowner's name, and a knot formed in my stomach as I beheld the results. He was far from an inconsequential figure. He held the title of co-owner in a company that engaged in business with hers, meaning she wasn't merely clandestinely involved with an unknown individual. She was engaging in a lively exchange with a customer. Upon delving further, I uncovered additional insights. Various records indicate that he was either 49 or 50 years old and had resided at that address since 2009. After a bit more digging, I verified that he was indeed divorced and had 2 children in college. Flawless, a middle-aged businessman, unencumbered by the weight of consequence, ensnares a married woman who exhibits no hesitation in straying from her vows. Later that evening, she returned home, beaming with joy, her arms laden with bags of takeout from my beloved Chinese restaurant, the place I hold dear to my heart, as if that was meant to divert my attention. "Hey, babe," she said with a bright smile, approaching me, her eyes radiating warmth as if everything was perfectly fine. As she leaned in for a kiss, I shifted just enough to offer her a half-hearted air kiss instead. That simply did not suffice for her. She seized my chin, a playful pout dancing on her lips. "Oh, come now," she playfully chided. "Provide me with an authentic one." I almost pulled back in shock. There was absolutely no chance I would allow my lips to come anywhere close to hers after what she'd been doing earlier. Yet, I compelled myself to yield, bestowing a fleeting, icy kiss upon her lips before retreating. As we gathered around the table, I endeavored to maintain a facade of normalcy, even as each morsel I consumed felt like a toxic burden. My thoughts were a whirlwind, contemplating my next step. "Tomorrow," I mentioned nonchalantly between bites, "I need to head out to a customer location. I shall not return until the evening hours." Her demeanor shifted at that moment, her eyes narrowing with a spark of intrigue. "Oh, indeed, where might you be headed?" "A few towns away," I mentioned, leaving it intentionally unclear. "What time is it?" she inquired, attempting to maintain an air of casualness. "Earlier, I mentioned that I likely won't return until later." I could perceive the cogs whirring within her mind. She meticulously collected information, strategizing her forthcoming action. She believed she was clever, yet I perceived her true intentions effortlessly. Her smile was sweet and gentle. "Please refrain from making any stops on your journey home. I shall have dinner prepared for your arrival." The mere idea of that twisted my stomach in knots. Shall we consider dinner? Once she had passed her day in his company? Is cooking for me akin to the role of a devoted wife? It was utterly revolting. However, that dinner was not destined to unfold, for I had alternative intentions prepared for her. Naturally, I had no genuine customer visits scheduled for that day. The sole visit I arranged was to the residence of her Thomas. If I spotted her car in that spot once more, it would be over for me. Gone are the days of waiting, and the shadows of uncertainty have lifted. I would confront her on the spot, then leave without revealing my destination. Whether it is a stroke of misfortune or a twist of fate, events unfolded precisely as I had anticipated. I arrived in the afternoon, and there it was, just as I had anticipated. The vehicle she owns, stationed in that same infuriating spot, reminiscent of the previous day. My stomach tightened, yet this time there was no surprise, merely a confirmation. I acted without a moment's pause. I navigated my way home, secured a reservation at a hotel, and began the process of packing my belongings. Each crease of the fabric, each zipper fastening my suitcase, seemed to echo the finality of closing the door on this marriage. I found myself devoid of sadness, completed. With everything meticulously arranged, I picked up my phone and dialed her number. To my astonishment, she answered right away, her voice radiating warmth and joy, as if my call brought her immense delight. "Hello, my love," she sang with a bright, cheerful note. "Hello there." I tightened my jaw. "What occupies your time at this moment?" "Oh, merely occupying a conference room, diligently engaged with a spreadsheet," she remarked nonchalantly, as if she weren't fabricating a tale right before my eyes. "Indeed, you were disseminating something, but it certainly wasn't figures on a spreadsheet." I stated bluntly, "You're lying." A moment of stillness. "What is this?" "I am aware of your location. I am aware of your company. And I know precisely what you're up to," I said, my voice steady yet frigid. "You're either in the act of deceiving him at this very moment, or you've just completed the betrayal. Exactly as you did yesterday. Just as you did the previous week." Stillness. She made no effort to refute it. "I assure you, there isn't a single no. It's truly not as it seems." Silence prevails. "I have reached my limit with you," I pressed on. "I shall not be present when you arrive." Yet silence lingers. Only silence lingered on the other end. I allowed that to settle in for a moment, then unleashed a torrent of carefully chosen words. Words I had restrained for far too long, and ended the call. I reclined, released a breath, and lingered in anticipation. 20 minutes elapsed. Suddenly, my phone began to vibrate incessantly. Conversations, written works. Repeatedly, she was engulfed in a whirlwind of panic, and I understood all too well the reason behind her 20-minute delay. The moment I hung up, she spun around, her eyes wide with shock, and exclaimed to her lover, "Oh my God, my husband knows about us." For the last 20 minutes, she has been in a frenzy, her mind racing, panic setting in, weaving a tapestry of excuses, desperately searching for a way to extricate herself from the situation. At this moment, she is prepared to engage in conversation. In the span of the next 24 hours, my phone was relentless, a constant flurry of buzzing notifications. She must have inundated me with 50 voicemails and flooded my phone with over 100 text messages. I ought to have severed ties with her, yet a fragment of my being was intrigued to witness the depths of her desperation. Initially, her messages brimmed with denial. "It's not as it appears," I can elucidate, as though any rationale could truly account for this. It was as though I hadn't noticed her car nestled in that driveway on 2 separate occasions. Upon my silence, she altered her approach. The denial dissipated, giving way to tears. "I deeply apologize, Mason. I implore you, engage with me in conversation." Then arrived the complete and utter frenzy. Endless hours filled with texts and voicemails, her cries echoing through the silence, pleading for forgiveness. Isn't that the way it always unfolds? They move with such disregard in the shadows, yet the moment they're discovered, chaos ensues. That evening, upon settling into the hotel, I made my way to the bar to unwind a bit. The little I had consumed left me vulnerable, and the alcohol surged through me quickly, dulling the anger just enough to keep it at bay. Upon returning to my room, I attended to the tasks that awaited me. I reached out to our parents and shared everything with them. The drinks had me feeling carefree, and I let my inhibitions slip away. I revealed it all, every repulsive detail laid bare. My mother inhaled sharply. "Mason, she certainly would not. She certainly did," I interjected, my tone devoid of inflection. "She has been involved with a man in his 50s, a client of her company." I apprehended her. Stillness. Then my father, ever the reliable presence, cleared his throat. "My dear boy, are you truly certain?" A harsh laugh escaped my lips. "Father, I noticed her vehicle parked at his residence. Twice. She deceived me outright while she was in his home. Upon confronting her, she offered no denial. What more do you require?" My mother's voice faltered. "I had the impression that the two of you were content." I gazed up at the hotel ceiling, enveloped in a void of emotion. Indeed, I experienced the same. They were filled with dread. Stunned. They, much like myself, had held the belief that our marriage was flawless. Yet, was that not merely a mirage, perhaps? In the months that followed, I found myself residing in various hotels, navigating the complexities of my divorce. I steered clear of any interaction with her. Silence reigns, devoid of calls or messages. Only my parents were aware of my whereabouts. I had no faith in anyone else to keep it from her. All were aligned with me, save for her nearest companions, naturally. Yet, time and again, my friends and family echoed the same sentiment. It would be wise to arrange a meeting with her, allow her to elucidate, allow her the opportunity to express her apologies to you face to face. Based on the messages she had been sending and the accounts I received from our mutual friends, it was clear that she was struggling to cope. Came as no shock. She transitioned from covertly maneuvering behind my back to a state of sheer panic the instant she grasped that I would not return. Yet, rather than allowing her to face the repercussions of her own choices, her friends chose to shift the burden onto me. Initially, it manifested as an overwhelming pressure, a cascade of pleading texts and lengthy voicemails from acquaintances I scarcely recognized, each echoing the same sentiment. Simply engage her in conversation. Mason. She is struggling. Allow her the opportunity to articulate her thoughts. At that moment, her older sister intervened, and the situation took a turn for the worse. As the evening unfolded, my phone chimed, and I picked it up instinctively. A significant error. "Mason, what on earth is the matter with you?" Her sister's voice cut through the air, laced with anger. "She's unraveling, and you remain indifferent?" With my eyes shut, fatigue washed over me. "This does not concern me. She neither eats nor sleeps." "Oh, Mason, she truly adored you," she aired, "and you're discarding it all as if it held no significance?" I tightened my jaw. It held significance. I refused to accept this any longer. She discarded it the moment she nestled into bed with another. Her sister let out a derisive laugh. "Are you really going to overlook her? What if something were to happen to her? What if she were to—" She paused, then unleashed the words, "If she takes a drastic step, that's on you." That was the moment. That was the boundary. I inhaled deeply. To be unequivocal, her decisions do not fall under my purview. This mess was created by her, not by me. If you, or anyone else, attempts to manipulate my feelings into reconsidering her, you can count on never hearing from me again. After that, I ended the call and severed all ties. The following day, I discovered that she and her companions had been spreading whispers to all about my supposed coldness and lack of compassion. And then arrived the true blow to the core. Her parents also directed their ire towards me. That one hurt. Our bond had always been strong. Her father and I would share a few beers together. Her mother would often say that I was akin to the son they never had. I believed they cherished me as one of their own. Yet, when the moment arrived, it seemed that blood held more weight than an 8-year union. Her mother reached out to me, her tone laced with a palpable sense of disappointment. Mason, why not have a conversation with her? No, I stated plainly. With a soft exhale, she let out a sigh. You held a place in our hearts akin to that of a son. So, is this where you decide to throw in the towel? A harsh laugh escaped my lips. Are you considering surrendering? She was the one who betrayed our trust, don't you recall? She aired. Her mother was adamant. Individuals navigate these challenges regularly. Indeed, I do not belong to that group. That marked the final exchange I shared with them. They chose their path and I chose mine. I am grateful that my family and dear friends remained steadfast by my side throughout the entire ordeal. They were the ones who reassured me of my sanity, affirming that my actions were justified, despite the relentless attempts from her side to manipulate my feelings. I maintained my distance and entrusted all matters to my attorney. My wife battled fiercely against the divorce, presenting me with any concession I desired to preserve our marriage. Yet I had reached my limit. At last, she understood that no words or actions could sway my decision, and with a resigned sigh, she affixed her signature to the documents. Following that, events unfolded rapidly. Just last month, the divorce reached its conclusion. A fresh start, no lingering attachments. I won't feign that I was a tough guy throughout the entire ordeal. 8 years is a considerable span to share with another person. Countless nights passed in restless turmoil, each one a testament to the heavy burden that threatened to shatter my resolve. Yet I persevered, and at last I am liberated. That ought to have marked the conclusion of the matter. Yet, she clings to the belief that there remains a possibility for us to reunite someday. She insists that we are destined to be together, that destiny will bring us back to one another, just as it did when we first crossed paths. I can assure you with absolute certainty that this will never come to pass. She continues to reach out to me 3 to 4 times each week, sharing updates about her life, expressing how much she longs for my presence, and offering her apologies repeatedly. I suppose I ought to have severed ties with her by this point, yet truthfully, there's a certain satisfaction in listening to her tales of woe. Perhaps it reveals a touch of pettiness within me. Yet after all she has subjected me to, I believe I deserve a small moment of vindication. Regarding her Thomas, I find myself unable to divulge much at this moment. Let's just say that my lawyer and his counterpart are currently engaged in a matter, and I'll refrain from elaborating further. Feel free to complete the missing parts. Now, listen closely. She confided in me that he held no significance for her, that she severed all ties with him. However, do you realize something? I am indifferent. Whether he was merely a fleeting encounter or the profound love of her existence holds no significance. She has betrayed me, and there is no returning from that betrayal. 7 months later, the man involved eventually offered a settlement of $200,000, urging me to let the case go. Indeed, I accepted the money. There was no point in prolonging the inevitable when I had triumphed in every significant aspect. I found myself liberated from the clutches of a deceitful spouse, and to top it off, I received compensation for my troubles. Some may refer to it as hush money, yet I see it as recompense for the years I've lost. Several weeks back, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. Typically, I refrain from responding to such calls, yet an inexplicable urge compelled me to answer this time. Mason, this is Diane speaking. Her mother's voice emerged, trembling and filled with doubt. I nearly ended the call in that moment, yet I chose to hold on. It was clear to me the reason behind her call. She fell to the floor in her home. She was discovered lying on the floor. Is it her? She had forsaken food, abandoned rest. The physicians have diagnosed it as severe depression. She was placed in a rehabilitation center. I remained silent. What was I meant to express? Did I express my sympathy for her? That I would rush back to rescue her from the chaos she created? Diane's soft sobs echoed through the line. Mason, if you would be so kind. Simply engage her in conversation. Negative. My voice held a resolute strength. Chilly. She no longer occupies my concerns. She is unwell, Mason. Assistance is required for her. I severed our connection. She had to contemplate that before she opened herself up to another man. I am beholden to her in no way. Stillness. Then, in a small, defeated voice, She whispered, "I still love you." A harsh laugh escaped my lips. She adored me to the extent that she chose to be with another man in broad daylight? Absolutely not, Diane. She cherished the life I provided, the security, the solace. But what about me? If her love had been genuine, she would not have shattered all that we had created together. "Mason, please refrain from contacting me again." And then I ended the call. In that moment, I realized that as long as I remained in this city, they would perpetually pursue me. With that money, I acquired a modest piece of farmland nestled in the countryside, a sanctuary away from the clamor and the echoes of the past. I acquired a few animals: chickens, goats, and even a pair of horses. I exchanged the pressures of corporate existence for the tranquility of expansive fields and the gentle embrace of dawn's first light. I have departed from my job for good. Gone are the meetings, the relentless deadlines, and the interactions with those I wish to avoid. In this vast expanse, it's merely me, the earth, and the creatures that roam. As dawn breaks, I rise with the sun, engage in labor with my hands, and inhale the crisp, invigorating air. After what seems like an eternity, a sense of well-being washes over me, not only in terms of emotions, but also in the realms of the physical and the mental.